Hello, everybody, and welcome to day 3 of Customer Service Week. And we're here for your morning jolt to replace that cup of coffee. And I have my good friend with me, Shep Hyken. This is Jim Rembach with ACX Global Media. And we're here on behalf of being powered by PACE for 2020 Customer Service Week, which is our 36th annual. Now, PACE is also having day 3 of their virtual conference, which you can find out more about that agenda and go to paceassociation.org, and it'll get you over to their virtual site. We also are releasing a podcast today with Gordon Scheffler, who is the VP of Customer Care with Magellan Health, and he's going to share some stories about how they celebrate Customer Service Week and then carry that CX celebration throughout the entire year. And that's one of the things that we've been focusing on, Shep, is that entire year.
Yeah, it's not a week. Customer Service Week is just a week to recognize the importance of the people that take care of the customer, both internal, external, as well as recognize our customers. It's just a point of celebration. It's like my age. I'm that age all year, but I only celebrate my birthday once. Although I try to make it a month, my wife says, "Come on, let's move on. It's my birthday now."
Well, and even as you're saying that, I'm starting to think about how you're involving so many other people into that, right? I think today we're going to talk about imperatives.
Yeah.
And then also, before we get into that, though, I want to make sure that everybody knows that we've been doing this all week. So we had day 1 and day 2. You can get information on that, as well as the podcast with Gordon Scheffler at customerserviceweekly.org. But we have new imperatives, Shep, that have come about. Like for many of us during the whole COVID thing, our imperative was go remote. You didn't have a choice. And I would dare to say, when we start thinking about all of these other factors and elements that have some been accelerated, some have really, they're not going to be around anymore. Stop doing that, not going to do it again. We have to focus on things that we may have never focused before. You also talked about cross-functional and people touching and who are, you just say back office or off stage if you do journey mapping. So what are some of the imperatives that you see we have to have right now?
Well, I think let's just do a general imperative. You just mentioned journey mapping. If a company has not created a journey map for the multiple ways that customers connect with them, do business with them, they're missing the huge opportunity of not just understanding what the customer goes through, but being able to look at every interaction point to determine whether there's an opportunity to improve that experience for both the customer as well as what's happening inside of a company. So I would say, if you said, what are the few things that companies have to do? That would be one. You know what I think another imperative is? And it may be, it's like, gosh, well, don't we already do that? Or haven't we done that? It's to create the specific vision of what customer service is in your organization. And people think that is assigned to vision and value statements and mission statements. But I say, pull it out of there because, Jim, have you ever worked for a large company before?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and could you recite their vision or their mission statement?
We were kind of forced to.
Yeah, you were forced to. Well, I'll bet they made it short. If they forced you to it, they made it short enough that it was memorable, yes?
Most definitely it was.
And that's the key. So you can have this big, huge mission statement, but you have to pull a customer service vision out that's one sentence long, maybe just a few words. For example, the Ritz-Carlton, and let's just talk about the hospitality industry. We are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. It's 9 words long. Everybody who comes to work there can remember that, right? So that is like what their vision is for customer service. And then underneath that, they have their non-negotiables, as we talked about, the imperatives, if you will. They have 24 gold standards that drive that statement. And it's going back to what we talked about, I believe it was in day 1, the training. It's not something you did, it's something that you do. Did we talk about that in day 1?
I think that is true.
Yeah, if we didn't talk about it, we should have talked about it. But, we talked about creating this story. That's what it was. And anyway, the idea behind these imperatives, every day or at least once a week, you bring up one of these imperatives to talk about and remind people about why it's important. And over a period of time, they'll hear these imperatives, whether you have 5 of them, 10 of them, 24 of them like the Ritz does. They'll hear these over and over again, and it'll become ingrained in their brain. That's what you want.
And I think you bring up a vital point when you start talking about leading CX. And that is, we don't tell people how to actually execute on the imperatives. as a leader, we want to share with them what the imperative is and give them the opportunity to actually execute upon it. Because a lot of times they'll exceed our expectations and
Yep. Yep. So you empower them, but you give them training to understand what the imperative is and how to go about it. We talked about those stories at the beginning on day one. You want to create legends. And what you do is, I think, again, people love stories. They learn by stories. So when you can share an example of how this works in a real work environment and what you do, people go, oh, I get it. And then, let them go out and deliver on it.
So when we start talking about imperatives of today, we're talking about Customer Service Week 2020, first weekend in October. I am seeing reports and insights around, where are we going to be in this whole change that has occurred, forced change, and the COVID, and the whole security and heightened security and remote and proximity issues and all of that. And we may be in this state for at least another year, but I think it could be even longer.
Well, I think there's pieces of it we'll be in forever. If we are forever changed. People are saying, well, when are we going to get back to opening? Let's talk about the norm. What used to be, when are we going to get back to that again, where we can go to a sporting event, get on an airplane and feel comfortable, go to restaurants without capacity controls? I believe all that's going to happen. Maybe I'm optimistic, but I'm realistically optimistic because I'll keep pushing my time frame out if I see something happening differently. But I think we're there sometime early to mid next year.
So for me, when you start kind of wrapping this all up and you start talking about the purpose of igniting a CX celebration and carrying that all year, I think really comes down to some of those core imperatives from a service perspective and why so many people throughout the entire globe are attracted to the service industry is that it's about caring for one another.
Yep. Yeah, it's like there are some people that just absolutely love to listen to customers complain, to deal with their problems. They thrive on the experience of saying, I'm glad I was able to serve you today. Other people, on the other hand, 3 hours into this, they're ready to pull. This is what happened to me originally. They pull my hair out. No, but they're ready. They're just like they've had enough of it. It stresses them out tremendously. So we've got to hire the right people to go into the right job, the right personalities, the right fit, train them properly. When you do this well, and people who love to do this, and there are people who've been in the industry for years and years. They love nothing more than to support either the people that their customers, or even if they're leaders, they love supporting their people and giving them, really the coaching they need to deliver. They thrive on this. And and you can tell the difference when you deal with an organization that thinks that way versus one that doesn't.
Most definitely. So I think it takes everybody in order to be able to have this occur to the degree and level that our customers expect. And that will enable us to be successful and also thrive and differentiate from everyone else. Everybody's bar is being raised. So I think for us, we need to now raise the bar for day 4. And
yes, that's tomorrow.
Exactly right. So
I can't wait.
All right, we'll see you all in the morning.